Lynn Heins, it's a privilege to be able to get to meet you and to congratulate you for your participation in Golden Wisdom of Love, Legends, and Legacies. And I always have to look at the cover because I get the words mixed up.
I did as well.
Well, what made you decide to participate in a book of this nature? This is book 2 in the Guiding Grace series. So why did you say yes?
Well, I had known Sandy, so when I had gone to the first event and in the panel of all of the women, and you're just reading different, like just opening the book random, not opening it from cover to cover, just randomly, knowing that that message was supposed to speak to me, I was just so moved by just these amazing, brilliant women, people, and what they have to share. And when I said there was another opportunity, I felt like I have a desire inside to share a message, to have my own book. It's not quite that time yet. However, I thought this was a great opportunity just to re-anchor into what I've been doing in my own personal growth journey, and to, if it inspires someone as well as I was inspired by so many other stories, then that's a great thing.
Beautiful. That's amazing. So what is the name of your chapter?
Journey to Self-Love.
Journey to Self-Love. So tell us the story behind
Yeah. Well, I'm still trying to learn it myself and understand, my whole life are just trying to figure out what, looking at things through the life of self-love being more of like an image thing, or if self-love is originally like, well, as long as I maybe do a pedicure, or did I eat right today? Or it seemed to me, when it was something that was said before, when I had started this over 4 years ago, was that it was that tangible thing. But self-love is more of, it's there's so many other things with it. And coming up for myself, growing up with trauma and then just life challenges, that I know I'm not the only one. How do I get back to something that's true, that's me, and how do I find myself? And just, I had spent many years in aesthetics. So in aesthetics, it's looking a certain way, it's facials, it's skincare, it's waxing. So that was that, again, getting caught into that beauty end, or looking good to other people instead of being accepted for who we truly are as we are created, without the hair and the makeup and everything. And then I went into the field of financial services. And then here I am working on the other spectrum of money and investments and protecting people and saving money. And again, I caught this image of how much money we have and what can we do with the money we have, and get caught up into this thing of what's a societal norm. And I just kind of like break that down. We're, as people, we're so much more different than that. So it was my own story of being in this mask of, yeah, I've got great, or look at my car, or look at this, like all of these just insensitive ways of who I really was. And, or if I could do a great makeup look, that would be an acceptable thing, instead of like, who am I really, without trying to appease and please other people by financial status or by visual looks. And I just had a breakdown. My life had had a huge turning point with all of the different things that were going on and what I had just come through in the past 5 years. Life hasn't been without challenges, as it's the same for so many people, but my final breakdown was just single and alone. And I didn't have anybody to be kind of puppeteering with. Does that make, if that makes sense?
Yes, it does.
That, yeah, like who am I trying to be somebody for? It was just me. And I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. I'm like, who am I? I was 46. I went through I didn't say this in the chapter, but I went through part of my bout of depression, just understanding who I was. After I had gone through uterine cancer, I was angry. I was mad. I was hurt. I was like, who did this? Why did this happen? I had wanted children. So I was angry, and not understanding why or how that would be the final, like the one thing of life that would really just break me down. So when I got to that point of being single and living alone for my first time, because I went living from parents, or to then dad, to then living with who became my husband. And so I'd never really been alone in my whole life.
Right.
And here I am, 46, living alone. And I'm like, I didn't like every creak in the night, all these little things, just nervousness of like, oh my gosh, like all of those things. But in that quiet of nothing else around, not only did I have my personal, like just emotional breakdown, but I had to get into that quiet to really take the time to find me.
Absolutely.
But then I realized I didn't know who I was. So I started this journey of my sister scooped me up one day and said, we're gonna go up to Sedona. And it was there that I had just my own personal spiritual awakening of I need to do something different because the way I was going was not down a good
It
road.
wasn't working, was it? Yeah.
No, no.
No.
Desperation, emotional, didn't know who to be vulnerable to because I was so good at putting this mask on. I looked on the outside, looked great, professional, successful, you can look good to someone. But then when you go home and you're alone by yourself, where the true vulnerability is and the true person is, nobody really knew who I was.
Your story is so important because our self-worth can be based on so many different things other than what it really truly should be. And
Yeah.
and based on even the approval of your own kids, and
Hmm.
if they don't approve of you, then you're thinking you did a terrible job. Well, that's not the truth of the matter. And it can't be based on whether somebody else is happy with you or not. So
Yeah.
I do a lot of interviews. Also do a lot of speaking engagements with people that are in writing circles. And the question always comes up, why should I publish? Why should I publish my story? And who would want to read my story? And why is my story important to anybody? Who are you not to share your story? Because somebody needs to hear your message.
That's true. And as I've worked on this and working with individuals one-on-one and just through them seeing what I was doing, I had people reach out to me, go, what are you doing? Where is this coming from? What are you following? What program are you in? And I'm like, I'm just doing this. And so I had shared with some other individuals and then they had started their own on themselves. And just the feedback that I got, it's just other people just being authentically themselves and knowing that, hey, I'm having some struggles. How do I find my way around it? And that it's okay. And I'm not going to judge you that you're any less of a person or you're not as successful or you're not as beautiful, um, inside and out, that it's okay. So I've been watching some other people do the same thing that I had done and just transform their lives. And they still reach out to me from time to time, and how just that moment, knowing that they could talk to me without being in that judged space and I could guide them and say, look, I understand. I've been there.
Mm,
And sometimes what comes to mind and just through this pandemic, the mental health
mhm.
challenges that people are facing now, because I think that kind of cracked it open in a way.
Many
I,
ways.
I often there's people I often think back to, and the one I always think back to is Robin Williams, to be honest. Like, here's this man that had this mask and we had no idea the pain and hurt.
Right.
So if somebody else knows that, hey, there's somebody they can reach out to, I got an ear, I got time, I can chat with you, then maybe it can make the difference in somebody's life.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Wow. Well, I want to thank you for having the courage to stand up and share your story. It's
Thank you.
truly important, very timely. And the recurring thing through all the interviews that I've been doing is really people that are going deep to really understand what's going on in life and how they can best make a difference. And I think at
Yeah.
the root of most people is that desire to help make a difference in some way or another. Yeah.
Yes, because I don't know where it is out there. Where can you get that true, genuine help and support? And I think it really comes down to the vulnerability. And even in the writing the story, like I could get really deep, but then I'm like, okay, that's how much are we putting out there? I'd rather one-on-one with someone because it is going, wow, this is going to be where people can see it and read it.
Mhm.
And hoping it comes across as a story of hope, you know, that we have challenges, but there's a way out of it. And sometimes it's just looking at ourselves literally one day at a time. It's like I
Beautiful.
was looking out my window and sometimes I catch up myself because I was so anchored in it every day that I've lived in my place for almost 3 years. And I look out my window to the courtyard and there's rocks, there's and some landscaping. And I look in the rock and I see a shadow of a heart. So it's those kinds of things. So I've been living here staring at my beautiful courtyard for 3 years, and I never noticed that heart in the stone before. And now there's a heart in the stone. And I'm like, thank you for showing yourself to me to remember to love myself, whatever that moment was. So it's those things that taking that daily activity of noticing things and even get chills thinking of it, just going inside and going, just, you'll be okay. I am
Breathing.
loved.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it. And I've been
And
staring out.
the gratitude that you even saw that.
Yep, absolutely. So it's things like that, that when we start that practice on the daily, then we can find things out in the world that the universe and, it's talking to us. Are we listening?
Very good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being a part of this, and I look forward to meeting you. I know there'll be a time when we all get together and celebrate,
Yes, I
this.
look forward to that.
And so continue doing what you're doing. It's awesome that you're doing it. And just know how blessed you are that you're on this journey. And there are many that are on that journey.
Yes, yes, I'm grateful, and I look forward to meeting everybody as well. Everybody just so beautiful, and to really get to know the truth of someone, I think it's just a true gift to be able to get that from someone and share that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Enjoyed our
Thank you,
interview.
Becky. I appreciate it.
All righty. Thank you.